How did your journey in songwriting begin?
I always say I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee that if we don't go for it, we won't reach it. I think it's incredibly important to write from our hearts, and it's hard to beat what's real by trying to manufacture it. Even when I barely had enough money for any food and I was eating cat food because I had no other money, even then, I was happy. So I urge people, whatever it is that you're wanting to pursue.
Welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Malina, and I'm 15 years old. Today's guest is a legendary hit songwriter whose songs have sold over 50 million copies. He has written for Britney Spears, the Backstreet Boys, and the Oak Ridge Boys. He is also the author of 6 Steps to Songwriting Success and This Business of Songwriting. I'm super excited for today's conversation with Jason Blume. Jason, welcome to the Young Leaders Podcast. How are you doing today?
I am good, and I appreciate the chance to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on and to go on with our conversation. But before we start, I want our viewers to know that there will be a very fun Would You Rather session and mystery question session at the end. So make sure you stay tuned till the end and subscribe. So we're going to start off with a mystery question. Are you ready for that?
Oh, I am ready.
The question is, if the universe gave you one moment in your life for you to relive, not to change it, not to do anything with it, but just to feel that moment again, what moment would you choose?
Gosh, it is almost a tie, but I think I'm going to choose the moment when I learned that a superstar recording artist named the Oak Ridge Boys, back at that time, they were country superstars, Grammy winners. They had recorded one of my songs. And at that point, I had been struggling and working and sacrificing for more than 11 years. And in that moment, hearing that, yes, it was all worth it, and everything changed from that moment. It was amazing. So
Wow, that
I
must have.
appreciate your asking that, so I get to relive it. It was the proof that, I always say I can't guarantee success, but I can guarantee that if we don't go for it, we won't reach it. And in that instance, it was just the culmination of everything I had worked for so many years. It was just amazing.
Wow, that must have been so much fun to finally get that, I guess, confirmation that you're on the right path, that you're doing the right thing. Those are definitely one of the best feelings in the world.
And I want to share also that that song had been rejected more than 75 times before superstars recorded it. And what's really ironic is their recording really stiffed. I don't know if you've ever heard of a song having a bullet. That means it's moving up the chart. My song had an anchor, meaning it was just a total bomb. But 5.5 years later, a different artist recorded the song, and it paid for my house. So it played on the doorbell of that house.
Wow, that's incredible. And how did you keep on going then, especially since you worked, you said 11 years to get to
Right.
that point? That must have been obviously a lot of hard work to get to there. What was your journey from that?
That's a great question. I think, I don't know if there's just something wrong with me, but I never believed that anything but success was coming my way. During the hardest times, during the longest struggles, I knew I would be successful. And I remember my father saying to me at one point, how long do you give this nonsense before you give it up and go get a good job or go back to school? You can't give this forever. And I remember saying to my father, you're right. There's no way that I can give this forever. I'm just going to give it 100 years. And if I'm not successful by then, I'm going to give it up and go back to school. And, of course I was joking, but what I really meant is I had no plan B. my plan B was to keep working until I got plan A, which was the success that I knew in my heart and in my soul that I was going to have. And I think so many people would have given up after 5 years, after 10 years. And it reminds me, the first song I ever had recorded is a song that I had to rewrite 7 times. And if I had given up after the fifth time, if I had just said, well, what do these idiots know? I like it the way it is. If I had said that, I don't know that I'd be on this side of the screen right now. When do you give up? I tell people, give up when you're not enjoying the journey, when you're not feeling in your heart like it's what you want to do. But for me, no, there was never, through all the years, through all the struggle, I knew success was coming. And maybe I was just too ignorant or too stupid to know the reality, that what I was aiming for was quote unquote impossible. But I'm glad I didn't accept that.
Wow, that's a rare mindset for people to have, especially in this era, in this generation, to be able to not give up, especially like redoing things over and over again. Like you had to rewrite a song 7 times. I know writing one song is already hard, but having to rewrite it over and over again until you make the others happy with what they want is incredible. And for you to keep on going, and I mean, 11 years is a long time. And
Right.
for you to keep on going is incredible.
But I want to say I didn't keep making the same mistake over and over and over again for 11 years and expecting different results. During that entire time, I was taking every class, every course available. I studied with everybody who taught songwriting in Los Angeles, and there were a lot of people there who were teaching, and I took classes at UCLA. And also, like when I was doing the 7 rewrites, I was being instructed by somebody who I trusted, a very successful publisher. He wasn't just saying to me, make it stronger. He was getting very specific and saying, okay, I want an opening line that's going to grab the attention lyrically. So then I would go back and work on that. Then he might say, okay, I want a catchier melody in this chorus. So I wasn't just sort of drifting out there wondering, well, what should I do? I'll just keep rewriting. It was a matter of being teachable, learning what needed to be fixed and being willing to fix it. And I think a lot of what stops people is when they let their egos get in the way of being teachable.
That is correct. It's about you have to have an open mindset that allows you to say, yeah, I get it. You're going to give me critical feedback. You're going to criticize this, but I'm open to it. This is what's going to help me grow because the feedback that you get, the things that you learn is not for someone else. It's going into your brain. It's your thoughts that are going to be using this information to help you grow and you become stronger, which is absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Now, I also want to add that all feedback is not equally valuable. There are people who have no clue who will tell you what to do along the way. What matters is finding those people who have credibility, those people who what their comments are resonate with you. If somebody
Yeah.
told me to make a change that was crazy, I wouldn't make it. But I was working with people who knew what they were talking about. And when they suggested revisions, it resonated. I got it. They were right. If I make this change, it's going to be stronger.
Yeah, that is really true. You have to have the right advice from the right people as well. How did your journey in songwriting begin?
I was probably, really the very, very beginning. If I go way back when I was very, very young, I would drive in the car with my father and he would play classical music and he would ask me to imagine or envision the scenes inside the music. And I would do that. And being a little boy, it was usually knights in shining armor, or it was cowboys, fighting, or soldiers and whatever. So I think he was, in a sense, training me to hear what could be inside the music, the stories, um, the lessons that were waiting. It's like sort of like when they said to Michelangelo how he could envision the statue of David inside a block of marble. And he said the statue was there all along. All he needed to do was get rid of the stuff around it that was in the way. But then moving forward to where like you could really say, okay, that's where I started being a songwriter. Probably when I was 12, I started writing poetry, and I thought of it as lyrics also. But there are significant differences between lyrics and poems. And if people want to learn about that or learn any of the nuts and bolts of songwriting, I have books. 6 Steps to Songwriting Success is very successful, and they can learn all of this stuff. But I don't want to take our time now to get into it. But the bottom line is, I was writing poetry or maybe lyrics when I was 12, and I would pick up my father's mandolin. He was a wonderful mandolin player, really talented musician, and I would just strum some chords and sing what came out of me. By the time I was about 16, I was really writing a lot of songs. These were real songs by then, not poems, but songs that had choruses and, things that made them into songs as opposed to poems. But it took when I was, I guess, 23 years old, and I had moved to Los Angeles, and I took my first real songwriting workshop with superstar songwriters as teachers. And then I learned that there were things like song structures. I had no idea. I just would strum a chord and sing whatever I felt. I had no idea that probably 98% of the songs I had ever heard all fell into one of about 4 structures. I didn't know, we're not born with this information. So I urge people, whatever it is that you're wanting to pursue, get the education, learn about it. I had to learn how to write choruses. I had to learn that there were reasons why some melodies stuck in the brain, and people would go, I can't get that song out of my head. That wasn't luck. Sure, maybe there was some luck involved, but there were skills, there were techniques, there were tools, and I needed to learn them. And it took a long time to do that. So, from the time I was 23 and I moved to Los Angeles, and I was very poor. I lived in one room, no kitchen, no bathroom. I shared a bathroom down the hall with the junkies and the prostitutes who lived in the other rooms. And I thought, I'm going to be successful in a year. And from that time, it was 16 years until I had hit songs on all the major Billboard charts, pop, country, and R&B, all at the same time. That was a 16-year journey. It was 5 years less than that, 11 years, until I earned a little bit of a living as a songwriter. But I was so happy, even living in that one room, even when I barely had enough money for any food and I was eating cat food because I had no other money. Even then, I was happy. I was the happiest I'd ever been because I was pursuing my dream. I was doing what it is that I wanted to do. And I knew, like I said earlier, I knew in my heart I would be successful. And, sometimes people say, oh, wow, what sacrifices you made. I guess so, but they didn't feel like sacrifices. They just felt like doing what I needed to do. And I was excited and I was happy.
Wow, that's incredible. That was obviously a very long journey, but having to go through such like you lived in a small room, you had to eat cat food. How did you stay in such a positive mindset throughout that though? What kept you going? What was your, I guess, why that made you keep on going?
Maybe and I'm serious about this, maybe I was delusional, or maybe I was just too dumb to realize that what I wanted was impossible. But I kept believing that success was right around the next corner, that my songs were, and I believed that my songs were incredible, that they were smash hit songs when they weren't. They weren't even close. But somehow I believed that, and I kept growing and I kept working at it. And, I teach songwriting all around the world. I have taught, I can't count how many countries, certainly more than 10 countries. And when I teach, I think the most important thing I can impart is not the nuts and bolts. We can read that in my book. What I want to instill in people is the belief that they can succeed. Not everyone is going to achieve their highest, loftiest goals. But if we don't believe it's at least possible, we're not going to go for it. So I feel
Right.
like my job as a teacher is to share. I have seen my students have incredible successes over and over and over again. Not all of them. I've probably had 10,000 students along the way. I've been teaching more than 30 years. But I have seen incredible successes, number one singles, publishing deals, all hit records, all of that. So really, I know it's possible. And that's my job, really, is to tell people, if you've got it in your heart, go for it.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of shows and movies and books that tell you that things that you think are impossible are they can be possible. And we have real life stories. We have your story here explaining how you thought like that belief that you had inside of yourself was
Right.
incredible. I feel like people need to understand that it's not about having others believe in you, but it's more about you believing in yourself. Because if you don't believe in
Absolutely.
yourself, no one else will, and you won't be able to get that goal that you want. So if you really want, like, now I'm going to speak directly to viewers for a quick minute, but like, if you
Please.
really want to grow, and if you want to get that car, if you want to get that house, or whatever it is that you dream of, you have to believe it in your heart, and then it will come true if you keep on working and grinding hard every day and making sure that it's something that you want to do from inside, which is absolutely incredible. And when it comes to writing songs, can you just make up lyrics just like that? Because I know if I compare music from older genres of music compared to now, back then they had very meaningful lyrics, and nowadays
Mhm.
it's more of a bunch of rambling on that I honestly don't understand in a lot of things. There's some where there's like no words at all. It's just like random gibberish. Is there like a certain way that you can write music? Does it have to be meaningful, or can it just be words on paper?
There are instances of very successful hit songs where the lyric makes no sense to me. And that's because the melody is what's carrying those songs. The melody, the production, the beat, the groove, the vocals, all of those things contribute. But most of the time, the lyrics do make sense. They may not be, deep, profound, poetic, you know, messages, but they do tend to make sense. If I look at some of the big Grammy nominees from this past year, if I look at Sabrina Carpenter, if I look at Chapel Roan, Pink Pony Club, that's a story. It's very, I mean, if you read that lyric, it is a very well written, detailed story. So no, we're not, everything changes in every genre. It's not just music that changes, but if you think about it, music that was popular, that was normal 30 years ago, is unheard of today. It all changes. And I tell people, this is going to sound like I'm saying two contradictory things. I think it's incredibly important to write from our hearts. If we're trying to be fake, to be something that we think the industry wants, the problem is that that's real for some other people. And it's hard to beat what's real by trying to manufacture it. So I tell people, yes, write what you feel. If you're going to write a piece of fluff, write it because you feel fluffy today, not because you think, oh, I better write something like Sabrina Carpenter's blah, 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 or whatever. I don't think Taylor Swift, who is certainly the most successful artist today, she's not trying to craft something that people will like. She's being who she is. She's writing what she feels. Her songs are real for her, and that's why they resonate with people. But I said there's sort of two sides to this. The other side is, if your goal as a songwriter, for instance, is to be on the radio, and it doesn't have to be, maybe you're writing for your own project or just for your own heart. But if you want to be on the radio, we need to take those inspirations, those things that begin as a spark in our hearts, and express them in a way that millions of people can relate to. And that can be a delicate balance, meaning that how I deliver what's real in my heart has a lot of different options. And I choose to deliver it in ways that will likely reach the most people. My songs are on albums that sold more than 50 million copies. That is
Wow.
completely insane. And, sometimes people will say to me, well, gosh, how could you write for little, 10-year-olds or 12-year-olds when you wrote for Britney Spears, or you wrote for the Backstreet Boys or whatever? And the answer is that part of my job is almost like an actor, or someone who's creating a book of fiction, but really feeling, trying to imagine what these people are feeling, the 12-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, and trying to get inside of their mindset. But if I'm not feeling that, if I'm just trying to fake that, it's probably not going to be my best work.
Hmm. Yeah, and one thing about music is music and songs is definitely not, in my opinion, a one size fits all. I feel like it's something that will connect to some people more deeply than it will others. There's songs that make you cry because you might relate, or the songs that make you cry just because of the tune. And there's different things from each song that makes it different, which in a way makes it very unique. You'll never, or like you'll rarely hear a song that sounds similar to another one, because every song has their own tune and their own history to it, which I think is very important for people to understand. Is that I like more high pitched, like faster songs. Some people will disagree. Some people like classical music, which I'm not really into. Not trying to start a war with those who do like it, but everyone has their own preference, which is what makes a person unique as well from music. And with music on how it's going, do you think AI or artificial
Mm.
intelligence will, um, I guess, erupt the whole industry of music? Because recently I've been using some tools to create my own music by creating my own lyrics with, let's say, ChatGPT, and then putting it into
Mhm.
another tool to have it create a really beautiful melody. Do you think it would change the industry?
I think it is in the process of changing the industry. And I think in some ways that's awesome. And in some ways it's very scary. I feel like we're sort of in the Wild West right now, where the rules and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable is all having to be hashed out, and who owns the rights and all of that. It all has to be hashed out right now. But there is virtually never a day when I don't get asked to listen to a song or sent a song where the person will write, I created this demo with Suno AI. And or a lot of times they'll say to me, I created the lyric and I had AI create the melody and the demo recording. And right now, that's really frowned upon in the music business. There are many, many publishers and agencies that look for songs for TV and film that are saying right up front, we will not accept any work created by AI. But it's sort of, they're still like, well, what is created by? At what point is it edited? If it's improving a lyric, at what point, is it just, well, it's creating the recording, but the writer created the melody, and all of this stuff has to be worked out. And certainly not only in the world of music. I think we have just entered the most amazing, exciting new phase as a result of AI. I can't even imagine the mind boggling things that will be doing even a year or two from now, if
Yeah,
this is where
AI
we're at. Yes.
AI
And
has been doing incredible with a lot of like I've used it as I love music and as a gift for my parents, for example, what's their anniversary or birthday, I'll use AI to create a tune that I guess I write, but I have obviously ChatGPT
Mhm.
to make it more into the verse and the chorus and stuff because I don't
Right.
understand that to its full potential. But I feel like it's a really good thing to have on the as a tool to help you with
Mhm.
writing lyrics or understanding how music works as well. And creating it, it makes it obviously fast and efficient, and it's not too much of a cost either, having to rent out a room maybe, or
Sure,
especially for
sure,
small artists as
right.
well.
Or hire vocalists and musicians. I think
Yeah.
it's this discussion really does not only apply to music. Of course, AI is going to change this whole world. There will
Yes.
be people who are put out of work. And is that a horrible thing? Well, I don't know. It depends on how things develop as a result of that. Will there be new opportunities that open up? I don't know. My crystal ball is in the shop. But I do want to say that for anybody who is interested in actually writing songs, you need to go to my website, which is www.jasonblume.com, JASONBLUME, because I have 135 songwriting lessons on my website, and they're all free. I have written them for a big, big music organization in the US called BMI, and I get to share them for free. So I hope people will take advantage of that, because almost any question that someone could ask me about writing songs, or how to get them recorded, or how to produce them, or anything, it's all answered right there. So I hope people will take advantage of that opportunity. And I also, while you're at that website, if you want to be on my mailing list, you can sign up right there. But
Okay.
there's something I want to also be sure to include. I talk about songwriting. That's my expertise. But the reality is that my lessons, what I've learned along the way, really extrapolate across so many fields. As I said way earlier, my main job is not to teach people how to write a verse, how to write a chorus, how to write a lyric that connects. My job is to say to people, go for it. If this is whatever is in your heart that's driving you, that's leading you to want to pursue a goal, go for it. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is your life. We get to create the life that we want. And that's pretty amazing and scary in some ways. But my job is basically to be the cheerleader, the coach, and to say, go for it if that's what you want.
Yep, I feel like everyone needs that one person in their life, or just not even if it's continuously, but someone who believes in them to help them start. I feel like it's very important, especially for the young leaders who are watching this. If you want to write songs, if you want to do whatever you want, you should just go for it. Try it out.
Right.
And
But you said something I have to address. You said it's so important to have that one person who believes in you. And I agree with that. And when I look back over the years, I had a couple of people who gave me that, but not everyone will have that. And we can't let the outside world and other people's approval uh, write our own lives. This is my life, and if I can't find somebody who agrees with what I want, oh well, that's your loss, not mine. I still get to do what it is that I want to do.
Yeah, that is for sure. Well, Jason, we're going to get into the Would You Rather session. But before that, do you have a mystery question for our next guest?
Ooh, I would have to ask, what's the most important thing that you did to contribute to your success?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm excited for that one. See what our next guest says about that.
Mhm.
Okay. Are you ready for the Would You Rather session?
I hope so.
Okay. So there will be three questions, and you're just going to have to answer them as quickly as possible. Would you rather write a love song to a cat that ghosted you or a breakup song from the point of view of a dramatic goldfish?
Oh, well, you said the magic word for me, cat. It's got to be anything about a cat. I'm the crazy cat man.
Cats are adorable. Okay, next one is would you rather write a song with a parrot that keeps on repeating the wrong lyrics or a goat that insists on being backup vocals?
Oh, definitely the goat. I cannot handle, um, anybody doing wrong lyrics to me. So I'm down with the goat, and I love goats. By the way, they're so cute.
They are cute. I haven't actually pet one before. I should probably go to the farm one
Mhm.
day and see how they are. And now the last one is would you rather have a cat that judges your lyrics out loud or a dog that cries every time you hit a wrong note?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, or a dog that says it loves everything I do, because that would feel great, but it wouldn't help me. I would rather have the dog tell me when I'm making mistakes. If I'm hitting a wrong note, I need to know.
Okay, so you'll be okay with it crying every time?
Well, if it's crying because it's telling me I need to improve, then I'm good with that. I sometimes say, I would rather be squashed like a cockroach today if that's going to lead me to the success that I want tomorrow. That's going to help me more than somebody saying to me, "Oh, you're so wonderful," if there's actually work I need to do. I want to do whatever I need to do for success.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jason, for being on this podcast. I really
You
enjoyed our
are.
conversation.
Me too.
And I hope our viewers got something out of this to help them hopefully get to the next step, whether it's in their career or in their music journey.
I hope so too. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye bye.